how are Luton Town's legs? They've had Manchester United and Liverpool. Yes, they've had a bit of a break between the Liverpool game, which was last Wednesday, and this one tonight. But that was a heavy workload, and at Anfield on Wednesday, they were really tired, Luton Town. They've had a 6-day break, but they're now up against the best team in the world. I was going to say one of. They are the best team in the world. They're world champions, and they are multiple winners. As Kevin De Bruyne kicks us off then, Luton Town versus Manchester City. De Bruyne goes back to his goalkeeper Ortega. His clearance is headed away by Mengi. Bernardo Silva picks it up, and now Walker will go back to John Stones. Stones is going to go back to Ortega, the goalkeeper for Manchester City. He'll play it into Kovacic, and Kovacic back out to the right-hand side. And Stones, match of the day, were waxing lyrical about John Stones' performance at the weekend, where he sort of moves into that midfield role and was actually playing even further up the pitch at times. Here's Haaland, his first touch, gets booed immediately by the Luton Town supporters. City play it up to the midfielder De Bruyne, and back they'll go. Kovacic to Ake, who's playing on the left-hand side. Nathan Ake, but their defence, as I mentioned earlier, rotates quite a lot, and they'll all move around in different situations. That's what Rob Edwards was talking about after the game these two played in December, how their team is so fluid, Manchester City. They all crop up in different positions on the pitch and are equally happy at right back as at left midfield. Haaland trying to get away from Mengi, but Mengi's quick, and Mengi does well there. First battle between Mengi and Haaland, and it was well done by the Luton defender. That's a good turn from Amari Bell there, and the home fans like that. Then in midfield, Doughty loses out to Bernardo Silva. City have it, and they'll play it down the right-hand side for De Bruyne, who's in so much space. Kevin De Bruyne for Manchester City. In comes the cross. I think he was targeting Haaland, but it was too high for him, and Obene has it now. Obene clears against Ake, and this is going to be a goal kick.
Yeah, a lot of space there for De Bruyne, and he wasn't able to pick out Haaland. Haaland is operating obviously down the middle. Teden Mengi is playing in the middle of that back three. Reece Burke on the right, as we thought. Mengi in the middle, Bell on the left-hand side, and Mengi is up against Haaland one-on-one and trying to stick to him like glue. Tim Krul was a little bit hard with his pass there to Amari Bell. I thought Bell was going to be in trouble, but he turned nicely to get away from the City player who was in close attendance. But yeah, can't give De Bruyne that sort of room.
I think the crowd were a bit concerned when Tim Krul played out from his goal there to Amari Bell, putting him under a bit of pressure. Certainly so early on in the game, as Woodrow just flicks on now, and City will deal with this with the Croatian Kovacic. Kovacic out to that right-hand side to Kyle Walker, and Walker will go back to his goalkeeper Ortega. 2.5 minutes in then, 0-0 on BBC Three Counties Radio and 5 Sports Extra. Plus we're on BBC Sounds tonight as Clark puts De Bruyne under pressure. De Bruyne goes back to his goalkeeper. Luton are pressing pretty high here, actually, to be fair to them.
They are trying to keep City pen back, but they're breaking out now with the Kanji.
Yeah, and the Kanji has broken the press as well, and they'll attack down this left-hand side with Nunes. Nunes, the former Wolves player. Nunes looks at the run from De Bruyne, who's in the box. Kevin De Bruyne for City, drags it back. There's Haaland, and it's as simple as that for Manchester City. And it's the two players we highlighted ahead of kick-off. It's Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. How many times have we seen it? They've done it again. It's oh so simple, with De Bruyne dragging the ball back and Haaland pulling away and firing into the back of the net. 3 minutes gone. It's Luton Town 0, Manchester City 1.
Too easy, absolutely too easy, wasn't it? City playing out from their own penalty area, broke forward with a Kanji, set Nunes away, flicked it inside. De Bruyne was surging through, got away from Jordan Clark. I think Jordan Clark slipped, wasn't able to keep up with him, and De Bruyne just looked up, played it inside, and Haaland smashed it in. Absolutely smashed it in. There was no way Krul was stopping that, and the net did well to stop it, to be perfectly honest. 3 minutes in, that's what they can do, but Luton would be disappointed at being effectively allowing them to travel so far with the ball.
I did say, didn't I, just then, Luton pressed high. The issue with pressing high against such a good team like Manchester City is that if they beat the press, and they are so good that they can obviously beat the press, then you are in massive trouble, as Obene now tries to get away right-hand side. I don't think he'll keep it in play, just knocks it out for a throw-in instead. And I think the other thing Luton will be disappointed with is how Haaland managed to pull away from Mengi there as the ball came in. I mean, with any striker you've got to be alert, but when you're trying to mark Haaland, you can't almost allow him even a yard of space in that 6-yard box, and he did, and Haaland did the rest. They're 1-0 up already, Manchester City, and De Bruyne picks up in midfield to Silva. Silva out to the right-hand side, and Walker. They've started very well indeed, City. Walker out to the right-hand side, absolutely motoring along, although that pass isn't a good one, and it'll go out of play for a throw into Luton Town, who just need to try and calm things down and maybe even slow things down just a little bit here.
Well, Mengi did well to win it initially from Haaland, but then it was, you know, a heavy interception from him, and it enabled City to counter without Haaland's presence.
Grealish wins a header against Clark there, picked up in midfield. Kovacic is Silva trying to curl one out to the right-hand side. Doesn't quite come off that one, and Luton have it in midfield with Barkley. One of his first touches, Barkley to Chong, and Chong gets the ball in a good position here for Luton now. Chong out to the left-hand side, and it's with Woodrow. Woodrow for Luton Town. We'll give this one to Doughty. Doughty's going to cross in first time. Near post, there's Morris. Oh, he couldn't get a touch to it. And if he had got a touch, then that would have been a real opportunity for Luton. Stuck his right foot out in the 6-yard area, Carlton Morris, but he didn't get anything on it. We'll see on the monitor again whether this was a really good chance. It certainly looked like one. Oh, he should have got something on it as well, Carlton Morris at the near post. Big chance, that.
It was a great ball in, wasn't it? And thought he was just only needed a little flick, didn't it, at the near post, but not quite able to get the touch.
Luton 0, Manchester City 1. Here is Jordan Clark in the Luton Town midfield. Clark's going to spray one out left-hand side. It's a good ball as well to Doughty. Doughty, who's just produced that one good cross. He's got a few white shirts around him now, and then Chong loses possession. Walker's going to pick up. Doughty's robbed him though. Doughty across goal, chance again. It's going to come back out, and City are going to clear. And Luton Town have responded well to conceding early on. And that was close as well to becoming a chance for them.
Great block from Nathan Ake, I think, to block there as Carlton Morris looked to convert that one.
Throw-in taken by the Hatters, looking to respond immediately. Chong picks up, Chong to Doughty. Doughty tries to just drag one back. Luton are going to pick up the second ball though. Clark gives it to Barkley. Barkley for Luton, just turns away and gives it back to Clark. Clark neat and tidy in midfield to Woodrow. Woodrow now to the right-hand side. Obene crossing in, and City are going to head that one clear. And Luton have just got to be careful not to get done on the counter-attack here, because City, of course, can try and exploit that now as Luton go searching for an equaliser. And that's a good challenge from Mengi there. Otherwise, Haaland was in a lot of space all on his own. 1-0, Manchester City lead.
Yeah, really good response from Rob Edwards' side. Got some dangerous-looking crosses into the box. Akanji and Ake have had to make some important interceptions in there.
Throw into City down their left-hand side. Hooked away by Burke. Chong tries to flick on, City win it, and it's with Mengi now, and Mengi just turns away from Haaland and goes back to his goalkeeper Tim Krul. Erling Haaland's goal, his 23rd of the season for Manchester City, trying to rediscover the really top form of his before the injury, and that will certainly help his confidence. It's hardly as though he's playing poorly, but maybe not quite to the really high standards we've seen him in a Manchester City shirt. Good turn in midfield from City, who are bombing forwards now, right-hand side. Grealish is all on his own left side. It's played towards him. Burke heads that one away, and Obenes picks it up. It feels like a cup tie, this one, because it's end-to-end. Here's Obene. He tried to feed in Burke, didn't quite come off. And now Burke needs to get back into position as City pick it up again. Really fast-paced game, this one.
It is, and Luton are matching City in that regard, although City perhaps a little bit more skill. It was a good run from Nunes, got a lot of space, turned away from Amari Bell over on that far side, tried to pick out Grealish, but Burke was able to get the header away.
Another long ball forwards from the goalkeeper up towards Haaland, headed away by Mengi again, dealt well with it. Nunes trying to pick it up just off of Haaland, but unable to do so, and Doughty wins it now. Doughty to Chong down that left-hand side. Chong versus Stones. Chong crosses in. It's a good ball. Nobody there, though, just outside the 6-yard box. Obene's going to pick it up over on the far side. Backwards he'll go to Reece Burke. And Luton, who are trailing 1-0, have responded pretty well to going behind. Certainly not overawed. are not lacking in too much confidence as Clark picks up from Barkley's little pass infield. Luton now headed out to the left-hand side, and Doughty on his left foot, of course, goes backwards to Amari Bell, and Bell now to Mengi, who's in the centre circle. Luton trailing by 1-0. Burke gives it back to Bell, and Bell just looking at options, will feed it to Burke once more. Manchester City happy that Luton have possession where they have it now, just close to the halfway line. Here's Chong backwards to Doughty now to Woodrow. Woodrow is offside, which is a bit frustrating. This is going to be a Manchester City free kick.
Yeah, just come from an offside position to receive that. They're getting a bit of joy down that left-hand side. Well, I say targeting Kyle Walker, who's one of the best around, but they do feel, I think they can get Doughty into some good crossing positions. It was a great cross from Chong a moment ago, but he just got the cross away a bit too early. I think he felt he had the opportunity to get the cross in, so did, and consequently there was nobody far enough forward then to apply what would have been a simple finishing touch.
Obene for Luton, right hand side. Obene versus Grealish. Grealish has got the better of him. Grealish now, the former Aston Villa player, clips run down the left hand side for Kevin De Bruyne. The assist for the goal. De Bruyne up against Clark. De Bruyne into the box it goes, and it's dealt with well by Amari Bell, with Nunes breaking into what looked like a dangerous position. Bernardo Silva picks up. Silva to Kovacic in midfield, gives it back to Bernardo Silva. So comfortable on the ball, all of them, City. In towards Haaland it goes. Haaland trying to get rid of Mengi behind him, unable to do so. And the Kenilworth then give Ted and Mengi a round of applause. Woodrow has now robbed a Kanji. Here's Obene on the halfway line for Luton. Now into midfield, and Barkley now to Chong in a little pocket of space to Heath Chong for Luton Town. Just lays off to Jordan Clark. Clark still coming forward to Luton. Clark's going to clip a ball in. It's a poor pass from Jordan Clark, and it will go behind for a goal kick. But again, more applause from that Luton Town Kenilworth Road end, Simon.
Yeah, that's good play from Mengi. It's a real physical contest with him and Haaland. You know, they're both big guys, aren't they? And
yeah.
Well, you know, Haaland is normally towering over people. He's not with Mengi. It's a good physical match up there, and Mengi, for the most part, has managed to cope, apart from after 3 minutes when Haaland has stuck that one in. If you give him an inch, he'll take a yard, and that's all he needed on that occasion. But it's been a good response from Luton to going behind so early.
It was Haaland's movement, wasn't it, for the goal?
Yeah.
Mengi will probably be able to deal with him in a physical battle, but that just clever movement is so good. Here they are on a physical battle again, and that's where Mengi is really strong. But in that penalty area, certainly in and around the 6-yard box, can Mengi just be wary of the little bits of movement from Haaland? Here's Kovacic to Stones into midfield, and Grealish has got room to manoeuvre here. Little back heel for De Bruyne up towards Haaland again. Little touch back to Grealish almost finding Haaland again. Good block from Luton Town once again.
Yeah, it's Mengi again with the interception, wasn't it? It was a lovely interchange of passes with De Bruyne and Grealish trying to get Haaland through again. Spotted by Mengi, just got a foot in.
They're so clever, aren't they, with those little snappy passes.
Yeah.
You know, 1 and 2 touch. Quite a lot of the time it's just one touch, and it's kind of bang, 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 and they're gone and away from Luton Town. What Rob Edwards was purring over back in December. Luton Town have just got to try and stay as alert as possible, as City have it in defence. Of course they're going to be excellent. They are a world-class side, and it is great watching them too. Here's their goalkeeper, Ortega plays out, and Manchester City have it with Kovacic. Shows drop very deep, back to Ortega, and Ortega now a low one on the floor to Grealish, who picks up. Grealish, he was spoken about by his manager yesterday, saying that he needed to pick up his form. Just a little nudge from Pep. Who knows what he's doing in those little situations. Yeah,
and Reece Burke just sort of pulling him back there, just conceding the free kick. I thought he just sort of held him off really and got past him, but referee Anthony Taylor right on the spot.
Lovely touch from Haaland again to De Bruyne. De Bruyne had spotted Nunes, couldn't quite get him. Haaland picks up again though and gets it out to Grealish on this left-hand side. Jack Grealish is up against Burke, and Obene's close by too. Backwards he goes to Ake. City leading 1-0 as Ake goes backwards to Kovacic. Erling Haaland's 23rd goal of the season. Stones just pushing into that little midfield position as City get it out to that right-hand side, and Bernardo Silva, he'll clip one down the right for De Bruyne. Clark is tracking him, and Clark just heads away to Corley Woodrow, and Luton will be forced to go backwards to their goalkeeper Tim Krul, the former Norwich and Newcastle stopper, is being used in these FA Cup ties, as Carlton Morris thought he was being fouled there, but nothing doing. The referee says that Akanji wasn't doing anything untoward, and so he gets away with that one. Akanji looked like a foul from here. Here is Grealish now. Grealish crossing in. Krul is there, and Krul gathers that one. And the fans again feel there's a bit of injustice against Morris.
Yeah, I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other from this angle, although Carlton Morris is still complaining to Anthony Taylor. He seemed to be backing in, and Akanji was all over him. So they both ended up on the floor, and Anthony Taylor, I think, just decided they were both as guilty as each other.
Referees tend to view it like that a lot of the time, don't they? That both of the players are guilty of kind of holding and pulling shirts. They all pull shirts these days.
Well, Mengi and Haaland have been at it all game so far, haven't they? Yeah. And he's just letting them get on with it.
Doughty going backwards to Amari Bell. Quarter of an hour gone. It's Luton 0, Manchester City 1. And BBC Sounds this evening as well, so you can listen on your smart speaker and on your laptop, on your phone, however you like, here tonight for this FA Cup 5th round tie. We're also, of course, on BBC Three Counties Radio and 5 Sports Extra. So welcome along. The City fans are making plenty of noise in the Oak Road end as this ball is played up to Haaland, and Haaland is given the decision by Anthony Taylor, the referee this time, as Mengi was caught up with him, and the home fans are saying, well, how on earth is that a foul, and the one against Morris a minute ago wasn't, and that's why you can hear the boos in the background.
Well, I have to say on this occasion I'm siding with the crowd. I thought Morris and Akanji was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and I thought that was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, to be honest. We said it had been all game so far and he'd let them get on with it, and on this occasion he penalises Mengi and has a long chat with him as well, Anthony Taylor. Just let them get on with it. I mean, really, you know, not hurting each other, are they? Just having a good physical contest.
City take the free kick, and Akanji goes back to his goalkeeper, Ortega. Ortega clips one up towards Haaland. There we go again between Haaland and Mengi. Now De Bruyne. De Bruyne feeding Haaland away. He's in. Haaland again with a chance, and Haaland scores the second goal. And Haaland is on song tonight. Gets away from Mengi. So much power, so much strength, and so much speed. Having shrugged aside Mengi, all he then had to do was beat goalkeeper Tim Krul, and he smashed it through him. And Haaland gets number 2 for the night and number 24 for the season. It's Luton 0, Manchester City 2.
And I just wonder whether Ted and Mengi had just been thrown slightly by that decision a moment ago from Anthony Taylor. A couple of the Luton players have gone to the referee just to say, look, come on, you know, give us a fighting chance here. But, you know, the decision had gone against him a moment ago, so he's not gone tight on Haaland. But then again, if he makes the challenge there and Haaland goes down, he's off Mengi because Haaland's clean through. Haaland's held him off and again has finished very emphatically, drilling it past Tim Krul. Really good finish from Erling Haaland. They've had 2 chances, they've scored 2 goals.
2 assists for De Bruyne, 2 goals for Haaland. They're back as Luton then give the ball away from the kick-off, and that was Barkley wasteful there. Here's Haaland again. Haaland giving it back to De Bruyne now, who's trying to race away, and out comes Krul. And Luton have just got to try and maybe just get some patience out there and maybe try and slow the game down a little bit, because this is playing into City's hands. This high-tempo stuff, they're so good and so clever in these transitions, City, when they do win the ball. They can move it so quickly, and with Luton out of position, suddenly the Hatters find themselves in massive problems. The turnover of the ball is so good from City. Here is Bernardo Silva, as he felt he was fouled there, and the referee now says play on.
He was. Yeah, that looked like a clear foul, and Anthony Taylor's let that one go. It's got to be one of those nights, you feel. But I'm sure it'll even itself out over the course of the game.
Chong tries to lay back to Doughty, and that's not good enough. Ball out of play for a throw-in. 19 minutes gone. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Just some composure needed by Luton as Haaland again makes that dart down the right-hand side, smashes it against Bell, and into the Kenny end it goes for a corner kick to Manchester City. They look rampant, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and he looks right up for it, doesn't he, Haaland? He's getting a bit of stick from the crowd at the Kenilworth end, but I tell you what, there'll be people going home tonight and the young kids will be wanting to be Erling Haaland in the playground tomorrow, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely clinical from the Norwegian tonight. It's been a masterclass of striking ability. Here's De Bruyne's corner kick, edge of the area, it goes towards Grealish. Woodrow has sussed that one out and comes and heads it away. It's picked up by Walker, out to De Bruyne, first time pass in towards Nunes. Clark is there, Clark mopping up for the Hatters, and Clark flicks it up towards Morris. Good header down from Morris to Barkley. Barkley in midfield, haven't quite seen his glorious touches so far. Ross Barkley that we've seen this season hasn't been able to get a sniff of the ball really, Barkley, because City have been in so much control. And very clever at winning that ball and then immediately getting it moving up the other end and catching out Luton. Just a roll out from Ortega here, and suddenly De Bruyne's on the ball close to the halfway line. It's just split-second stuff from the FA Cup holders. Quick thinking, quick movement, quick passing, and they're away. Here we go, De Bruyne right-hand side as the ball is played. Bell should deal with it and does so, and goes backwards to Krul, and Krul will clear. I'll tell you what, it's been cruel on Luton that they've come up against Liverpool and now Manchester City in 6 days. The two best teams, with Arsenal as well, you'd say, in the Premier League. Doughty now. They just don't want to get shown up, Simon. That's no. I suppose the main thing now. A number of them are playing for places as well, aren't they? I mean, Grealish has been given a very public ticking off, hasn't he, and told to pull his socks up by Pep Guardiola. So he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing as well as he can be, and there'll be a few like him as well who'll be thinking, all right, okay, Kevin's back and Erling's back, so how are we all going to, how are the rest of us going to fit into the 9 places? Grealish quite literally won't pull his socks up because he tends not to like he tends not to like doing that. So it was an unfortunate choice of phrase, wasn't it? But yes, Pep Guardiola did have a little word about him yesterday as they'll clear up. Jordan Clark in midfield chests that one down. Seen quite a lot of the ball, Jordan Clark, so far, and done okay in there. Here he is now once again, been neat and tidy on the ball. Here's Bell now, and Bell backwards to Clark. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. It's Mengi has possession now in the centre circle for the Hatters, in orange and blue as ever. Luton. It's another nice pass from Clark into Morris, who gives it away. This is where they're dangerous. Here's Silva picking up and giving it to Grealish. In a split second they're away. Grealish into the penalty area. Still Grealish. He'll shoot, and Krul saves it because it was straight at him, and that goes down as another chance. The problem is when you make little mistakes like that, you either get punished or you're fortunate not to be punished. And that was the case then, really. I thought he was going to stick that in, Grealish. They gave him room to shoot. He cut inside onto his right foot. They weren't close enough to him, Clark and Burke, and he got the shot away. And when he's in that position, getting the shot away, you expect him to score, Grealish. Halfway through the first half then, it's Luton 0, Manchester City 2, and here's Simon Oxley. Yeah, it's an uphill battle. From here for Luton, it was an uphill battle at kick-off, and it certainly is now. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Erling Haaland with a brace. We said in the build-up how much we were looking forward to seeing him after he didn't play in the league game in December. Well, we've probably seen quite enough of him already, to be perfectly honest, but he's some player. 2 excellent finishes, both set up by Kevin De Bruyne. But back come Luton again. They'd responded well in between the 2 goals. Here's Chong down the right-hand side. Chong flicks it back inside to Reece Burke. Burke just over the halfway line to Barkley. Barkley has to go back to Ted and Mengi. Mengi, what an education for him up against Haaland. He's matched him sometimes, but unfortunately not all the time. And Erling Haaland has bagged a brace. Here's Jordan Clark out to Amari Bell down the left-hand side on this chilly evening in Bedfordshire. Amari Bell's got his gloves on. You can hear the wind whistling into the gantry here in the new Bobbers stand. Here's Reece Burke flicking it forward to Carlton Morris. Morris is fouled from behind by Akanji, and sarcastic cheers as Anthony Taylor gives Luton the free kick midway inside the Manchester City half. The Hatters attacking the Oak Road end, which is
pretty much completely full of Manchester City supporters, save a segregation area just away to the left-hand side as we look. Free kick played short. Here's Barkley. Barkley forced back towards the halfway line, flicks it inside to Amari Bell. Bell inside the centre circle, clips it forward left-footed, looking for the run from Obene. Nathan Ake's there, and he plays it forward to De Bruyne. De Bruyne advancing forward to the halfway line, finds Grealish. Grealish with his back to goal, twists and turns, finds Bernardo Silva, inside to De Bruyne once again. Jordan Clark sticking close to him this time, flicks it forward, and breaking forward is John Stones. Stones back inside to Haaland. Here's the hat-trick. No, Tim Krul makes the save. Haaland played clean through. John Stones burst through. Haaland held off the defender. Stones was in, flicked it forward to Haaland, and you were getting ready for the hat-trick celebrations, but Tim Krul's made a crucial save.
Haaland's really clever there, because as that ball is played down the right channel, he just basically blocks the run of the defender to go and stop it. It's so clever, which means City can carry on.
And here they come again into the box with a shot just flashed wide from Nunez, who then apologises to whoever was in the crowd, who got it full in the face. I think it was about 20 rows back as he lashed his effort wide. Mateus Nunes into the Kenilworth end, and had the good grace to apologise to whichever spectator he inconvenienced as that one flashed wide, and it's a goal kick to Luton, played short by Krul to Barkley, forward to Morris, who lays it off to Jordan Clark. Clark out to the left-hand side to Alfie Doughty. Doughty coming forward over the halfway line, clips it forward looking for Morris, headed away by Kanje. And now here is Jordan Clark again. Clark down the left-hand side, flicks it out to Tahith Chong. Chong up against Kyle Walker. Chong goes on the outside. Kyle Walker gets a foot in. Chong again fires it against Walker and wins the corner for Luton Town, which Doughty will go across to take. They're trying, they're pushing forward, but apart from a few crosses flashing across his goal, Ortega's not had too much to do yet.
Yeah, and it's so difficult. They've just got to retain possession better and not give the ball away, because City just nick it off them and they're bombing forwards.
Here's Doughty with the corner, left-footed, swings it in. It's headed away by Haaland, who's back defending at the near post, and Jordan Clark has to go back to Tim Krul. Krul, all in green, will clear upfield, left-footed down that left-hand side, looking for Doughty. Doughty tries to take it in his stride, but under pressure from De Bruyne, can't control it, and it goes out of play from Manchester City throw. Luton 0, Manchester City 2, live FA Cup football on BBC Three Counties Radio this Tuesday evening on all our frequencies, apart from 95.5, where you can find Stevenage against Cambridge, and 98 FM, where it's Wickham against Cheltenham. And we're also live online via BBC Sounds and on 5 Live Sports Extra. Very good evening to you, wherever you're listening. From Kenilworth Road, Luton Town trailing by 2-0. Manchester City with a brace from Erling Haaland, and he was pretty close to getting a hat-trick, denied by Tim Krul in the Luton goal. Here's Jordan Clark inside the centre circle for the Hatters. Flicks it out to Obene. Obene just over halfway. Support from Reece Burke down the right-hand side. Burke rolls it back towards Obene, trying to get past Ake. Flicks it inside to Burke. Burke back heels it to Carlton Morris. Morris back inside to Barkley, who helps it onto Amari Bell. Bell onto his left foot, thinks about the cross, but plays it out to Doughty. Doughty back inside to Barkley, closed down by De Bruyne. Back to Jordan Clark. Clark back again to Barkley. Edge of the box. Barkley trying to find a way through, now sets up Doughty for the cross, low into the near post, and it's comfortable for Ortega, and Morris wanted it clipped into the back post where it would have been a free header. Yeah, but it wasn't.
No, I think the thing is, if you try and clip it into the far post, it then has to be a little chipped one, doesn't it, that defenders normally deal with. So I think he was probably right to slam it in, but the placement needed to be a little bit better. Luton have got themselves into good little positions in those areas, haven't they? But then the final pass has been lacking a little bit. But you can't compare it to when City go and push on.
Jordan Clark almost losing out to De Bruyne, but manages to find Burke, who plays it all the way back to Tim Krul. Krul back inside his own area at the Kenilworth end, onto his right foot, and a decent clearance as well, headed away by Akanji to Bernardo Silva, who finds Nunes lays it off to Silva once again. Silva, little short pass to De Bruyne. De Bruyne in towards Haaland, to Silva, who clips it back again to De Bruyne, who takes it first time, and Haaland's there again. And Tim Krul makes a double save. First to deny De Bruyne and then Haaland. And Tim Krul keeping Luton in this. 2-0 it remains, a double save from the Dutchman to deny the Belgian and the Norwegian.
How have they not scored there? The first volley from De Bruyne is brilliant. As Krul down to his right-hand side, it fell straight then to Haaland, and you thought, well, that's a hat-trick for him, and it went straight at Krul again.
Good saves from the goalkeeper. As Luton play it upfield, but City clear, and Nunes lays it off to Stones, and Stones now can advance forward from defence up towards the halfway line, but crowded out by orange shirts, one of whom is Amari Bell, who finds Ross Barkley. Barkley lays it off for Jordan Clark. Clark to Heath Chong. Back to Alfie Doughty. Doughty on halfway. Got a wall of City shirts ahead of him, and then De Bruyne just catches Amari Bell there with a late challenge. De Bruyne apologising. Not quite sure that's going to cut the mustard with Amari Bell, but it just caught him late there. De Bruyne just left a foot in on the Jamaican, and Amari Bell just taking his time to get back up on his feet.
I mean, the last chance for City, it tells you everything you need to know about them. They're 30 yards from Luton's goal. It's a packed area in the middle of the pitch, and yet in those really tight spaces, they're still able to play those little 1-2s.
Lovely
and little
ball,
clipped over the top.
Forward. Haaland back to Silva, flicked it over the top, and the volley was excellent.
And they're bypassing 6 or 7 orange shirts,
Here's Doughty down the left-hand side from the free kick, plays a low cross in towards the edge of the 6-yard area, cleared by Kyle Walker and then volleyed away by Bernardo Silva, but straight into the Luton half where Tim Krul is there, way out of his area to drive it forward, left-footed, but he's given it straight to Grealish. Grealish might get a shot away here. Grealish, though, he decides against it. Krul's back in his goal now. De Bruyne clips it forward, looking for Haaland. Haaland giving chase. He'll keep it in on this near side. Mistake there by Krul. After all that good work a moment ago, now City have lost possession, and, well, Carlton Morris and Obene can't keep it, and City have it back with a throw.
Why isn't Grealish shooting there?
Well, I don't know.
Krul was
way out of his goal.
50 yards out of his penalty area.
He's just over the halfway line, Grealish. So, presumably somebody must have shouted.
I mean, he could have shot first time, and Krul then was 70 yards from his goal line. Yeah. He then took a touch. He then could have shot after that. Oh,
that's a good ball through for Stones to chase after from De Bruyne, but just slightly overhit, and it goes through to Krul. I was waiting for him. I thought in a minute he's just making room for the shot, and Krul's got no chance if he hits the target, and maybe just was unsighted.
Very strange. First time round it would have been 70 yards out, the goalkeeper, and when he took the touch he was still 50 yards outside from his goal line.
Luton losing it, Grealish winning it back, and he tries to find Ake and puts it out of play. Grealish sliding in, mindful of the eyes that are watching on the edge of the technical area. Pep looking on, having spoken at length about Jack Grealish yesterday. It's been the Erling Haaland show so far. Luton 0, Manchester City 2, a brace from Haaland, set up by De Bruyne, and the pair of them could have had more goals between them as well, but Tim Krul's made some key saves in the Luton Town goal. Doughty plays it forward for Cauley Woodrow, but Woodrow, for the second time this evening, has come from an offside position and concedes the free kick, which is quickly taken, and here's De Bruyne once again. Out to Grealish down the left-hand side. Grealish back inside to De Bruyne. De Bruyne back to Nathan Ake. Ake just over the halfway line. Ake trying to get away from Obene. Obene sticking to him. Ake has to go back to Akanji. Akanji plays it forward towards Silva. Silva's little turn, but he's given it straight to Jordan Clark, and Clark plays it to Doughty, who'll help it on to Woodrow down the left-hand side. And again, space for Luton to get the cross in, or maybe Woodrow will try the shot, which he's just drifted wide of Ortega's left-hand post. Ortega nonchalantly watched it sail past, as if to say, well, that was always going wide, but it wasn't too far away from Cauley Woodrow.
Yeah, not a bad effort actually from Woodrow, outside the box on that left-hand side, curled it just beyond that far post. Pretty good effort from him.
Yeah, not too far away from Cauley Woodrow. And there's a City player down actually on the edge of their penalty area, as we welcome back listeners on 98 FM. Half-time at Adams Park, Wickham against Cheltenham. Second half commentary on 98 FM.
Nunes who's down.
Stevenage against Cambridge, of course, was a late kick-off, same time as here, 8 o'clock. So they're still playing on 95.5 FM. Yeah, Núñez down on the edge of the penalty area. Which one of the World 11 will come on to replace him, I wonder. Just gives me a chance to remind you of what's coming up on Saturday on BBC Three Counties. We're with you, well, actually on 104.5 from midday for MK Dons at AFC Wimbledon. 12:30 kick-off in the capital. Then from 3, Watford at Millwall, Stevenage at Lincoln, Wickham against Barnsley. And then from 5:30 back here at Kenilworth Road on all frequencies for Luton against Aston Villa. Three Counties Sport from midday through until 8 o'clock on various frequencies. That all to come on Saturday. Núñez still down, and Rob Edwards taking the opportunity to have a word to some of his players. And City just looking to see if there's any movement on the bench, whether they are expecting Núñez to continue or whether they may have to make an early change. Pep is explaining something to Bernardo Silva in fairly animated terms. He's gone for the hat this evening, Pep Guardiola. It's a chilly evening. Rob Edwards just gone for the rather warm-looking coat. Núñez coming off on this near side, and I think he's going to carry on by the looks of it.
Yeah, I don't quite know what happened there. He was just holding his face a little bit. There's also a little bit of movement on the Luton bench, but I don't know whether that's going to be a substitute. But I saw Gabe Osho just pull off a top.
Yeah, Osho's looking as though he might be ready to come on. Whether Amari Bell is just feeling that knock he picked up from De Bruyne.
He's just hobbling a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah, might be.
Amari Bell.
He is, yeah.
That'll be a blow, because that might be another injury.
It's that left side again, isn't it? That left side of the defence.
Not much cover down that left side.
Well, 10 minutes to go until half-time. Núñez waiting to come back on, and we're back underway with Ortega's goal kick. Right-footed towards Haaland, away by Teden Mengi. Carlton Morris giving chase, headed away by Ake. Tahith Chong picks it up, gives it away, as does Kovacic. And it's back now with Doughty on the left-hand side. Inside to Ross Barkley. Barkley forward to Chong. Back again to Barkley. Doughty's made the run, but Barkley's kept it. Plays it inside to Jordan Clark. 2-0 to Manchester City in this FA Cup 5th round tie at Kenilworth Road. Haaland with a brace. Here's Obene down the right-hand side for Luton. Back to Reece Burke. Núñez still waiting to come back on. Not been given the signal yet. Now he has. He's back on. So 11 against 11 once again. Barkley under pressure from Haaland. Finds Amari Bell. Bell winces as he plays that one across to Mengi. Mengi clips it forward, looking for Obene. Obene heads it back inside, looking for Morris, but City intercept. Grealish on this near side, plays it back inside to Ake. Ake makes the most of what wasn't a great pass and finds De Bruyne. De Bruyne under pressure from Jordan Clark. Back to Akanji. Akanji plays it forward early towards Núñez. Bell hobbles over to try and keep up with him. And Núñez, if he's got any sense, will just take on Bell on the outside, but doesn't. Plays it back to Kyle Walker.
It's the two injured ones together. It's Joe Johnson who's coming on, the left-sided centre-half, so they're going to... That's probably quite a good idea from the manager, rather than risk another one.
Might be needed Saturday. Or just let's see what he can do. Yeah, I mean, it's a baptism of fire, isn't it? But, you know, you'll never know unless you play in this sort of situation. And Jack Grealish has allowed the ball to roll out of play because there's going to be a double change here. Well, a change for either side, and it will be Amari Bell limping off to be replaced by Joe Johnson, highly regarded young player. And City's change is Doku coming on. Off goes Amari Bell, on comes Johnson. And
Jack Grealish, I think, has gone off.
Yes, Grealish, isn't it? I was assuming it was going to be Núñez, but Grealish has gone off. Whether he's had a recurrence of injury, I don't know, but Jeremy Doku is on, and Grealish has gone off. That's an interesting one. So on comes Joe Johnson, and there's a first touch for the England under-17 international over on the far side. Finds Alfie Doughty. Well, I saw Doku was going to come on, and I immediately assumed Núñez was going to come off, and the number 10 went up, and there goes Jack Grealish. The City have it inside their own half. All a bit scrappy with the injuries and now substitutions, and City will want to try and regain their rhythm, and Luton will want to try and keep them out as we approach half-time. 39 minutes gone. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Drilled forward for Doku to chase after. Good interception by Reece Burke. Back to Krul, and Krul clears left-footed first time towards Bene down this right-hand side, who heads it inside looking to Morris. Akanji allows it to bounce, plays it forward to Kovacic, and now the flag's up on this near side for offside against Carlton Morris. Eventually from the assistant on this near side. And played forward early towards Bernardo Silva, but Tahith Chong was back there, and Krul clears upfield again towards Bene, but it sails out of play. Crowd feeling Bene was being fouled, and it just sailed over his head, I think. Just looking down to see if Grealish is injured there. He must be, presumably.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just hobbled off.
Because he let the ball go out of play, but I assumed he just had the call because he could see there was a substitution to be made. Anyway, here's De Bruyne, forward to Haaland. Flag stays down, Haaland through inside the box. Haaland, oh, brilliant finish. Clips it over Tim Krul. Luton appeal for offside. The flag stays down for the time being, or does it? The assistant over on the far side is in communication with Anthony Taylor. They'll check with VAR, but as it is, Erling Haaland has scored a hat-trick. He was played through there, raced away from Joe Johnson, chipped it over Tim Krul, and we're having a check now to see if he's offside. Let's have a look as City play it forward towards Haaland. Can't really tell from that angle. He gets away from Johnson. Looks to me like he's timed his run. Clips it past Krul to, I think, complete his hat-trick.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think he just timed it absolutely perfectly against the youngster Johnson. I mean, the kid comes on, teenager Johnson, and the first thing he has to do is try and sprint and catch up with Haaland, who's the best striker in the world. It's really difficult. It's a great finish from Haaland as well, and it's another Kevin De Bruyne assist. So 3 assists for Kevin De Bruyne and 3 goals for Erling Haaland. The pair are back to their very best.
It's very tight, I have to say. And here's the notice that VAR is checking as it goes up on the scoreboard. Well, we all know that. We've known that for about 2 minutes. It is very tight, looking at the angle we have. He's very tight. It might be that his arm is slightly in front of Johnson, but we're waiting to see. The players are lining up as if they expect the goal to be given. And has Erling Haaland completed a first half hat-trick here? The likelihood is he has, and the referee says yes, he has. VAR has decided that he was onside, and Erling Haaland has scored a first half hat-trick to put this FA Cup tie well and truly, I think, beyond Luton Town.
Yeah, world-class striker, and if you feed balls like that to him, like Kevin De Bruyne can, then he's going to take them 8 times out of 10, isn't he, De Bruyne? It's a brilliant finish, just clipping it over Krul.
Yeah, didn't go for power this time, did he? It was just a subtle little flick over the goalkeeper. And here comes City again, but Burke is there to play it back to Tim Krul. Krul on the edge of the 6-yard area, clears left-footed towards Morris. Morris thrown to the ground by Akanji, no foul. Here comes City again with Kovacic. Kovacic back to Ake. Ake rolls it back to Ortega, and Ortega brings it under control inside the penalty area. 2.5 minutes to go plus added time until half-time. Here's Haaland again, trying to get away from Mengi. Plays it inside to De Bruyne. De Bruyne plays it back to Kyle Walker, inside to Bernardo Silva, and Silva plays it forward looking for Doku's run, and Reece Burke is getting there ahead of Doku and just gets an extra foot to it. He needed to get another foot to it, Burke, because he missed it initially. Here's De Bruyne again, now Doku down the right-hand side. Doku plays it back to Walker. De Bruyne helps it on its way. Now to Bernardo Silva. Back again to Kyle Walker. City comfortable here. 3 up. A hat-trick from Erling Haaland. Assists from De Bruyne. Although the lasting legacy De Bruyne may have on this game might be that tackle on Amari Bell, which keeps Bell out for a while. We'll see. I hope not. I hope they've taken him off quickly enough. As Doku turns away from Burke, he's held back, but the referee allows play to continue. Luton play it back to Krul. Krul clears left-footed up towards the halfway line. It goes over Walker and Woodrow. Woodrow looks at the referee, and Anthony Taylor just shrugs and says, "Oh, I'm not going to give that." and he's probably right.
Yeah, it's a weird one though, because De Bruyne, it didn't look like that bad a tackle on Bell, did it at all? Maybe, I don't know whether he just caught
just the angle he was
position.
at, perhaps just caught him. Now Haaland tussling with Mengi. Mengi hooks it away from Haaland as he looks to race away for probably what would be number 4. Abene now down the right-hand side. Goes down under a challenge from Ake. Akanji is there to get it back to Ortega. And we've got a minute to go, plus added time until half-time. There'll be a fair amount of added time after the injury to Nunez and then the VAR check as Luton play it to the edge of the box, and Barkley back to Jordan Clark. Clark onto his right foot, curls one into the top corner, and Luton pull one back through Jordan Clark. Well, that's a great strike from Clark, which he barely celebrates, but it's a wonderful effort. Ortega stood and watched, and Jordan Clark has given Luton Town supporters something to cheer about as we approach half-time by curling it into the top corner. And at 3-0 down, he's barely celebrated, but he must be delighted with that. Luton pulled one back here as we approach added time. Luton 1, City 3.
Well, it's a brilliant goal, and leading up to half-time, I was going to talk about damage limitation as far as Luton were concerned, and it being a long night, and then I was thinking, what positives are there? Well, the biggest positive all night has been the performance of Jordan Clark, who's been Luton's best player by some stretch, and then he goes and does that as well. He's played really well in that central midfield position.
Here's Walker out to this side, looking for Doku. He's gone straight out of play. I mean, he's been doing his best to keep up with De Bruyne, Jordan Clark, but it's like trying to herd cats, isn't it, mark him? But that was a great strike from the midfielder. Burke plays it back to Krul, and Krul clears left-footed. He's done all right as well, in fairness, Krul, hasn't he? Because he's kept the score down. Here's Woodrow, offside, is he? Looked like it. He'd come from an offside position, but the flag stays down. Woodrow plays it forward for Abene down the right-hand side. Abene trying to keep it in down by the corner flag. Well, he got to it, but can only steer it out of play for a goal kick. 3 minutes of added time. I thought there'd be more than that, actually. Nunez was down for quite a while, and then we must have had 2 minutes waiting for the VAR decision, but just 3 minutes it is. Yeah, and we've had a minute of that added time now. 3-1.
Just a bit light. I'm just going back to the Clark goal. Technically it's a wonderful strike, because when he's hit it, it's probably a yard outside the post, and because he's caught it so well on the curl, it curls into the top corner. It's one of the best goals Luton have scored all season.
It's a great strike, and Ortega didn't move. There's no point, really. He was never going to save it. Ortega clears upfield now towards Doku. Ricochets off Doku to Abene. Abene up towards the halfway line. Back to Reece Burke. Burke having to go back to retrieve that. Plays it inside to goal scorer Clark, who finds Abene. Abene inside to Morris. Morris lays it back to Burke, who just took his eye off it. De Bruyne's after him, and Burke then little turn to get away from De Bruyne and clears upfield, but straight at Kovacic. Kovacic back to Akanji, forward towards Haaland. Haaland heads it inside, tied it up by Joe Johnson. And here's Ross Barkley. Barkley surging forward, but he's shown too much of that to Akanji, and Stones is there to tidy up. Gets it back to Ortega, and Ortega will clear upfield right-footed towards Erling Haaland. Haaland brings it under control on halfway. A hat-trick for Haaland, inside to De Bruyne, and Haaland going for the return pass and gets it, despite the attentions of Mengi, who throws him to the floor and gives away the free kick. And Anthony Taylor's getting booed around the ground, but I tell you what, he is spot on. That is a free kick all day long.
That should be a booking, that time.
Yeah, initially he held him back. Initially, Mengi got away with it, and then he hurled him to the floor. You don't know what you're doing, sing the Kenilworth Road end. No, Anthony Taylor knows exactly what he's doing, and he's exactly right. And Ted and Mengi's lucky not to be booked there, because Haaland would have been away and it would have been 4-1.
He's so good, Haaland. He is so good, so strong, so physical, so quick. And Mengi can't do anything about it. There's not much you can do when you're up against someone so powerful and so big and so strong, that you are then forced to just pull him back. And he was pulling him back for about the 10 yards as they were scrapping away. You can't allow that to happen.
Free kick to be taken by Kyle Walker. Last few seconds of the first half here. Luton will want to keep it at 3-1. Walker plays it short to De Bruyne. Back again to Walker, who helps it out to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva onto his left foot, swings in the cross, headed away by Mengi, headed away by Johnson. Still referee plays on. Now he'll blow for half-time. And boos around the ground. I'm not quite sure what for, because it's been a masterclass in centre-forward play from arguably the best centre-forward in world football. Erling Haaland has scored a first-half hat-trick here. Jordan Clark has pulled one back with a splendid strike for Luton late on. But it's all about Haaland. All the goals made by De Bruyne, amongst others, and both players having efforts saved by Tim Krul in the Luton goal. But for Krul it would be 5 or 6. Haaland, well, Mengi's tried his best, but the only way he was going to bring him down was to rugby tackle him, which is what he did a moment ago, and was rightly penalised. 3-1 arguably flatters Luton.
Yeah, I mean, the goal at the end from Jordan Clark just means we're not talking about what a really long second half it could be. It still is very much likely to be a long second half for Luton, because they are taking a bit of a battering out there. Manchester City are in top form. They really are. They're playing some really nice football, tight, intricate passing, little give and goes, 1-2s. The passing is, it's just on the spot all the time, and they do it so quickly. And when you're watching so close to this, you see Luton make a little mistake anywhere on the pitch, and they are just immediately penalised as a result by Manchester City's kind of aggressive technical talent almost. It's right, you've made that mistake and we will make you pay for it by us doing this and this, and then suddenly they've got a chance. I mean, it's so good watching them, Manchester City. They're such a clever, good side. I mean, we've known that for many years, but when you're watching it so close to the action side, you realise, wow, it's why they're so good. It's why teams like Luton struggle to cope.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier on, I mean, those in the Kenilworth end and around the ground who are booing him more in jest, I think.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. But all the kids watching this, they've seen Erling Haaland in the flesh, and they'll all be Erling Haaland in the playground tomorrow, and that's fantastic. They'll come back here again and again and again, we hope, down the years, but they're seeing a masterclass in centre forward play from Erling Haaland. So a hat-trick for Haaland. First 2 inside the first 17 minutes, the first after just 3 minutes, the second on 17. Then Haaland twice denied by Krul, as was De Bruyne, before Haaland eventually given onside after he'd clipped in number 3. It went to VAR, but he was onside. Jordan Clark pulling one back. It's kept Luton, well, I hesitate to say in it. It's kept it respectable. There's something to go for in the second half, but some striker. Luton 1, City 3 at half-time. Yeah,
something to cling on to, but it's very slim, whatever it is, because Luton are very much under the cosh, and barring that Jordan Clark goal, and it was a wonderful goal as well, top corner from Jordan Clark. It felt like damage limitation for the Hatters against this rampant Manchester City side who are so classy. It's untrue out there at the moment. It's been really good stuff, this, from Manchester City primarily, but Luton in parts have done quite well, and then we've seen that wonder goal from Jordan Clark. Manchester City surely will make substitutions very early on in the second half. I would have thought he'll bring on some of the younger players, Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob, some of those ones to come on, no doubt, Alvarez as well. But Manchester City firmly in control of this one. It's Luton 1, Manchester City 3 at half-time.
Angel Joseph.
This Friday evening from 7, I want you to stop whatever you normally do and join me.
I think I was actually more confident on stage than I was being me.
Wow, that's so interesting, isn't it? You've learnt their lines, you are them. I've got voices that I want you to hear.
If you dress nicely, maybe people might take you a bit more seriously. If you just look like everyone else, they'll treat you like everyone else.
Every week I hear from amazing people from our area that share their stories with us.
That is what a lot of women are dealing with. a gamble of how am I going to pay my mortgage if I report this man.
Join me, Angel Joseph.
Friday evenings from 7.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Three Counties Sport live from Kenilworth Road. We're going to hear some more from Luke Berry in a few moments' time, talking about life in the Premier League with Luton Town. Let's find out how other matches going on, how it's getting on at the Lamex. An 8 o'clock kickoff because it was a delayed start, this one. Stevenage versus Cambridge United in League One. Steve Watkins.
Yeah, half-time here, Jeff. It's at Stevenage 1, Cambridge United 0. And it's been a good 45 minutes, I suppose, for Stevenage, although they've probably played in fits and starts, really. And the early stages, it perhaps looked like that Cambridge had really silenced the home fans. Although they didn't really hurt Stevenage, they had plenty of possession and played a lot of football inside the Stevenage half. Then Stevenage burst into life. Jamie Reid was through on goal, effectively. The defence just backed off him and gave him loads of space. He could probably have taken it on another 10 yards or so before getting his shot in, which was eventually saved by Jack Stevens with his leg down at his near post. Then Reid again it was, who had a free header, but he put it at the goalkeeper, which was another really good chance for Stevenage, before Stevenage actually did take the lead on 35 minutes. Jordan Roberts with a left foot shot inside the right hand upright, very similar to Carl Piergiani's on Saturday. They nearly got caught right at the death of that first half. Lancaster, who was in space down the middle, the Stevenage defence had gone to sleep, and his touch at goal was forced an easy save in the end from Tay Ashby-Hammond, and Stevenage is in the lead. Stevenage 1, Cambridge United 0.
Steve, thank you very much. Steve Watkins following Stevenage versus Cambridge in League One. In our other featured match in that division, in the 7:45 kickoff, it's goalless at Adams Park. Wycombe Wanderers 0, Cheltenham Town 0 in that fixture. Let's run through some of the other scorelines then elsewhere. FA Cup games, these ones kicked off a little bit earlier. Bournemouth 0, Leicester City 0. The Premier League side versus the Championship side, although there could well be a Premier League side soon next season. City, Leicester City that is. And it's Blackburn Rovers 0, Newcastle United 0 at half-time in that other FA Cup tie. Here, of course, it's Luton 1, Manchester City 3. Elsewhere, England's women won their friendly against Italy 5-1 earlier. And then in League One, Burton 0, Carlisle United 1, Derby County 1, Charlton 0. Derby County, of course, searching for promotion. Leyton Orient 0, Blackpool 0, Lincoln City 1, Shrewsbury 0, Port Vale 2, Fleetwood 0. Fleetwood struggling near the foot of the table. Wycombe 0, Cheltenham 0, as we've said, and Stevenage 1, Cambridge 0. The other one is Wigan 0, Bolton Wanderers 0. League 2, Forest Green Rovers 1, Wrexham 0, just struggling a little bit the outside. Harrogate 0, Newport County 3, Notts County 2, Sutton United 2, Salford 1, Colchester 0, Swindon 2, Tranmere 1, and Walsall 0, Accrington Stanley 0. We're just getting views again of some of those goals from the first half. Erling Haaland's first one as De Bruyne broke into the box on the left-hand side. Haaland goes near, then comes back out again, then goes near, then goes back out again, and Mengi's going backwards and forwards, doesn't know which way to go, and then eventually Haaland has got away from him and tucks it in. The movement from Haaland as a striker is absolutely world class. And then the second one where he just gets the wrong side of Mengi again and finishes. It's really a joy to watch him in this kind of form. And also we should mention Kevin De Bruyne, because he's been a sub in the last 3 or 4 games for City, started tonight, and he has created all 3 goals for City as they lead by 3 goals to 1. Right, while we await the sides then, let's hear some more from Luke Berry, the Luton Town midfielder, who is on the bench tonight. May well come on at some point for the Hatters. We called up with him earlier this week and spoke about, of course, this cup tie, but also about life in general at Luton Town and upcoming league fixtures. Remember, Luke Berry has been at the club a long time, 6 years. He's been in the lower leagues with the Hatters, is now in the Premier League with them, and he's been talking about life at Kenilworth Road, and if it feels like he's been here for an eternity.
No, not really. Maybe looking back at some of the games in League Two and then looking at them thinking, crikey, that was a long time ago. But it doesn't. It feels still feel young, still feel fresh. But yeah, a lot when you think about it, I've been here 6-7 years. It does feel like, yeah, that is a long time for a player in football to be at a club.
And can you tell me what the different step-ups are between the leagues? Because you've played in all of them now. So how does each compare every time you make that big leap?
They're all tricky. Every league's tricky. It's just the speed of the players, the technical ability, everything just increases by the level. The mistakes you make, you get punished. The higher you go, really.
And what have you learnt about the Premier League?
There's nothing really we fear. It's just we've got to stay switched on. If we give it our best and we're on our game, we will pick up points. It's just not making them silly little errors what you might get away with in the Championship, League 1, League 2. We just need to stay focused from minute 1 to the end.
Has it felt fairly relentless, the Premier League?
It is, but it's different. I think the Championship's more relentless because of the amount of games. But every game, the physical demands the boys have been put on, I think that is a relentless form as well. But it's not as endurance where you got to grind it out Saturday, Tuesday. It's more every game is so intense and you need to be ready in that game.
Yeah. And obviously you've all had to go through the horror of what happened to Tom, but has that also galvanised you? Fantastic to see him back fit, interacting with everyone. But how much has that galvanised the team as well?
Yeah, it was a horrible experience, and for Tom to be so upbeat and everything around the boys, it just shows that such a great person he is. And it's great to see him on TV and doing his bit across for the Heart Foundations and things like that. And it's really good to see him so upbeat and just around the boys even coming in. I think the game was the Brighton game, just to do a lap of honour and just everyone to see him really lifted everyone, and we won 4-0.
That was Luke Berry, the Luton Town midfielder, who's on the bench tonight, talking about life at Kenilworth Road. 6 years at the club he's been here. It's Three Counties Sport. The players are coming out at the Lamex for our other featured match, Stevenage versus Cambridge. So we're going to split our frequencies then. If you want to listen to that Borough match against Cambridge in League 1, it's 95.5 FM. For all of our other frequencies, then it's Luton Town versus Manchester City, and you'll have to decide now.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, welcome back to the Kenny, and on the monitor they've just shown Jordan Clark's goal, and as much as we've gone on about De Bruyne and Haaland, that is quite simply a magnificent goal from Jordan Clark, who's been excellent in the middle of the park. He's overshadowed Ross Barkley, Jordan Clark, and then he's come up with, well, what can only be described as a top bins, as they call it, a postage stamp right in the top corner side. It was a brilliant goal.
It was, yeah, and he barely celebrated, did he? I suppose at 3-0 down. You perhaps aren't going to, but he just sort of stood there, admired his work, and then headed back towards the halfway line. But it was a stunning strike, really was. Yeah, and you're right. We can wax lyrical about Erling Haaland, but if he'd have stuck that one, we'd have been going. We and the rest of the media would have been going on ad infinitum. But let's celebrate that stunning strike from Jordan Clark, because that's what it was.
Luton 1, Manchester City 3 at half-time as Pep Guardiola walks back out, and we'll see the players in just a moment or two. What does Rob Edwards do now? Because unless they get one back early on, you feel like the Hatters probably aren't going to get anything from this cup tie, in which case does he just bring on some of those subs? Does he let the new signing Hashioka have a run out?
I'd be surprised if he didn't, whatever the situation, actually, just to give him a go, just to save Obene's legs, a little bit, and give him a run out in that right wing back position. So I would expect we would see the Japanese international at some point. He may be perhaps guided by whatever City do. If City were to say score next, then you might find that a number of their players are replaced to save them for United on the weekend and Champions League, next midweek.
Players are out then. Well, certainly the Luton Town players are as well. We're just waiting for Manchester City. Doku's been warming up while the half-time break has been on, because he came on late on in that first half. Jeremy Doku for Jack Grealish, who looked like he picked up another injury in that first half, went off and almost put a training top over the top of his head because he was so disappointed. Cannot make this season work for him, can he? Jack Grealish, as Luton await City to kick off this second half. Luton 1, Manchester City 3. Simon Oxley and myself, Jeff Dorr, with you on digital radio, 103.8 FM, 104.5 FM, 5 Sports Extra, and we're also online tonight as well via BBC Sounds, so you can listen on your phone, your smart speaker, your laptop, whatever, to us, not just your radio this evening. Welcome along wherever you're listening to us from. Luton would, if they could get this one to extra time, I think we would all take that one right now. It has to be decided tonight. No replays in the 5th round. It seems unlikely, but if you've heard about the Luton Town story in these last 10 years,
nothing is
possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say. And it's taken a while to clear the pitch, mostly of the ground staff, actually. I don't think they'd noticed the players had come back out there. Richard Bird and his team were busy with their forks, but everybody's off now, and away we go.
Luton kicks off then, and they are kicking towards the Kenny end, so they'll have the support of that crowd away to our left-hand side as Luton go back to Tim Krul. Krul clears not very well, straight to Doku, and Burke almost has to bring Doku down. Here's De Bruyne trying to find Haaland, and those two again. The double act almost creates something in the opening minute.
There's a poor clearance, wasn't it, from Krul, and I think it looked as though Doku was fouled, but the referee allowed play to continue there. Didn't see anyone applauding when he did that.
Backwards, John Stones goes to his goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega. And now Ortega out to that left-hand side to Ake. Here's Stones once again. Just perhaps playing a little bit deeper than he did at the weekend, because they've got Bernardo Silva and Kovacic in central midfield. Here is Nunes now. Nunes to Doku. Doku, who presents a different challenge to Obene because he's so quick, Doku, and also very skillful too. Here is Doku just cutting onto his right foot to Ake. Ake into midfield to Kovacic. Kovacic for Manchester City. They're in white tonight with maroon shorts. As Nunes picks up in that central midfield area. Now finds Bernardo Silva. They signed him for £40 million from Monaco, Bernardo Silva. An absolute snip. Here's Walker. Walker being forced backwards by Joe Johnson, who's very high up the pitch. The left-sided centre-half, who's now going to just trot back to help out his defenders. Up towards Haaland it goes. Haaland again battling with Mengi, lays it off to Stones. Stones tries to break away, and it rolls up to the penalty area of Tim Krul's. And Krul picks up and feeds this one to Doughty. So Luton with Krul in goal. Back three of Joe Johnson, Ted Mengi and Reece Burke. The wing-backs are Alfie Doughty and Chidozie Obene. In midfield for Luton, the goal scorer Jordan Clark and Ross Barkley. And then the attackers are Carlton Morris, Cauley Woodrow and Tahith Chong. Although there could be a tactical change from Luton, because the way they're set up at the moment, Alfie Doughty is playing as the centre-half and Johnson is playing as the left wing-back. So we'll just see if that stays the same. Here is Johnson now. Does seem to be playing on that left side, and Doughty seems to be playing as the centre-back. So they're giving Doughty a go at centre-back. Here's Woodrow now for Luton. Woodrow trying to hold off Akanji. Luton keep it, and then cleared by Mengi. Here's Chong. Chong a bit quiet in the first half, but then Luton struggled to get on the ball as City were rampant. Throw-in taken quickly by Woodrow. Chong chasing after it. Akanji is there. Akanji goes backwards to Ortega, the goalkeeper, and Ortega clears up towards Kevin De Bruyne. He heads down to Doku. Doku now to Stones. Stones in that centre circle. Just holds the ball up and then sprints away again. Further away, Stones. Now he feeds in a good ball. Nunes in here with a chance. Nunes shoots, and again it's saved by Tim Krul, who comes to the rescue. Nunes should score there, but it remains 3-1.
Great ball played through by John Stones, who just raced away from Barkley, created space for himself into a load of space, and then just threaded it through for Nunes and took a slight deflection, and Krul was able to make the save as well.
So City could be 4-1 up as they continue to play their quick passing. This time Nunes knocks the ball out of play, trying to find Silva, and it's going to be a Luton throw-in, which Jordan Clark, I think, will lead for Johnson. What do you make of that, Si? Doughty playing at centre-back.
That's how it's shaping up, isn't it? And they've had plenty of time to swap back, but they haven't done it. So Johnson's further up the pitch as left wing-back, and Alfie Doughty playing as the left centre-half.
Interesting. It's interesting as injuries begin to mount up for Luton. They obviously don't want to risk Osho because they can't afford any more injuries.
No.
Here's Barkley now. Barkley out to that right-hand side. It's an awkward position this is for Luton as Burke picks up now for the Hatters. Burke out to that right-hand side, and Obene. Luton 1, Manchester City 3. Here's Barkley with loads of space. Barkley up towards Woodrow. His first touch isn't good enough. And then the Luton fans think that might have been a foul, not given, as then Mengi wins the ball against De Bruyne. And the flag is up in any case for offside. Without wishing to, highlight Woodrow there, a poor first touch as the ball's played up to him, and Luton lose possession.
Yeah.
And Haaland probably didn't do that once.
Yeah, there was a suspicion of a trip, wasn't there? But it was such a heavy touch, he wasn't going to get it anyway, I don't think, from Cauley Woodrow.
Those are the difference in levels. But I think it's very unfair comparing Cauley Woodrow to Erling Haaland, who is the best number 9 in the world. Here is Kanji for City into midfield, and Doku. Doku goes backwards to Kovacic, signing from Chelsea. Into midfield it goes again to Nunes. Nunes turning away from Doughty. Nunes still has it beyond the halfway line. Nunes lays off to Doku. Doku, quick feet, gets the ball back again as it just rolled away from him, and gives it to Walker. Walker up to Haaland. Haaland's first touch is a good one. There's a coming together between Stones and Chong, but City carry on, and it was De Bruyne again trying to feed in Haaland there, but couldn't quite nutmeg. I think it was Burke, as Luton foul again over on the far side, and again the home supporters are annoyed.
Yeah, Morris just caught Ake on a Saturday, probably booked actually, but this midweek cup tie is not. It's just a free kick. Interesting one with Johnson, isn't it? I'm thinking more about it. He's further up so he can chase City down. Maybe they think Doughty will do less chasing as a left centre-half.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that is for sure. Maybe because he can play a bit higher up the pitch, I don't know. Here is Burke now, Burke to Woodrow, Burke back again. As City pick up once more, City will go back to their goalkeeper, Ortega. Poor clearance, Barkley shoots first time, and it gets blocked. I don't think it would have gone in any case. Here's Barkley into Clark. Clark, massive chance, and Clark's done it again. It's game on at Kenilworth Road. Clark smashes in as Barkley fed him. It bounced up nicely for Jordan Clark, and he's walloped it home. How do Luton keep managing to do this? It's Luton 2, Manchester City 3.
Well, flag stayed down. There's no VAR check. I don't think they're not even bothering with that. It's a poor clearance from Ortega. Barkley went for the first time shot. It was blocked. Oh, he's clearly onside. Just having a look at it on the monitor, and Jordan Clark finishing with a plum again. It's a lovely chip forward by Barkley. It's De Bruyne-esque, the setup from Barkley, and Clark has smashed it in a la Haaland. Astonishingly game on.
It's just untrue what is happening at the Kenny this season. It really is. Where Luton at times have taken a battering tonight, and yet they don't stop, do they?
No.
They do not give up. They take punishment after punishment. It's like a boxer on a ropes who's been battered, and yet he still comes back for more. And this is what Luton Town are like. They don't know when they're beaten. Could easily have been 4-1 down a minute ago when Nunes had that chance. Here comes City again, right side, cross comes in, half blocked by Luton. They need to clear their lines. City head it up into the air. Mengi challenges Haaland. City pick up on that right-hand side, 3-2 to Manchester City. Here's De Bruyne. De Bruyne taking on his man. De Bruyne still has it, Burt pulling his shirt. But De Bruyne might be doing the same thing. Still De Bruyne has it as those two continue their tussle close to the byline. And the ball goes out, does it? Yes, it does. And this is going to be a goal kick. And maybe Pep can't quite make his substitutions just yet.
Well, he'll be annoyed, won't he? Because he'll have wanted to give Haaland and De Bruyne a rest, you would think, but there's no rest here.
Barkley gets it out to the right-hand side, and Obene. And the Luton fans start to make a little bit more noise as they sense there could be something on here again. And we said, didn't we, at half-time, if you know the Luton Town story of these last 10, 15, 20 years, anything is possible. And it could be the case again. Long ball forward. Chong's going to chase after this one. Ortega is a long way out. Ortega allows it to go into his penalty area and he will gather it. They almost didn't exist, Luton Town, back in 2008 when they went into administration. And here they are now in the Premier League, coming up with these unbelievable performances against the very best teams in the world. Ball up towards Haaland. Haaland controls, lays off to Doku. 54 minutes gone. Doku for Manchester City, going backwards and finds Walker. Walker down to that right-hand side, and Nunes up against Doughty. Nunes to Doku, and Doku goes backwards, and it's picked up again by Walker. Walker, lovely ball in to De Bruyne. De Bruyne away. De Bruyne to Haaland. They've only gone and done it again. That's 4 times now. The double act do it again. And this is getting silly now. De Bruyne, assist number 4. Haaland goal number 4. It's Luton Town 2, Manchester City 4.
Well, just for a moment, well, for 3 minutes, in fact, we dreamed of a comeback, but it's been cruelly dashed by the De Bruyne-Haaland combination again. De Bruyne turning away from Reece Burke, holding him off brilliantly, and then thought about the shot himself, and then thought, oh, where's Erling? And he just rolls him in, squares it across to him, and there's another one for Haaland, just to tap in, because he knew what was going to happen, and he wasn't going to bank on De Bruyne tucking it in. He was wanting to see if he could add another one to his tally, Erling Haaland, and that's exactly what he's done. Luton have made a change. Cauley Woodrow has come off, and Townsend has come on.
Townsend on, Woodrow off, and will he head up front? Andros Townsend. Luton 2, Manchester City 4. 10 minutes into the second half. It was a brilliant initial ball from Kyle Walker outside of the boot that got De Bruyne away down that right channel. Fantastic ball from Walker. And then those two combined again. Here's Chong, left-hand side. Chong into the penalty area. Chong can try and pull it back. Can't quite manage to do it. It's a good save from Ortega. Offside. Flag up for offside, in any case.
He's up quite early, actually. And Chong's just got a knock there. Normally we lambast the officials for playing on, but in fairness to the assistant, he had his flag up straight away, and Anthony Taylor didn't spot it.
Chong just grimacing a little bit there as Haaland tries to get away again, right-hand side. Haaland, who's already got 4 into the penalty area. It's still Manchester City. They're looking for another one, and they might get one. Good save from Krul. A good shot on the turn from Manchester City, and Nunes. And Krul comes to the rescue again. How many shots on target have there been tonight? I dread to look at the stats, but I will do in a minute, just for curiosity. But City have had a lot.
Well, Krul's made, what, 5 decent saves? 5 very sharp saves.
Luton ball up towards Morris. Morris beaten in the air by Akanji. Here's Nunes. Nunes feeding Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva to Haaland. Penalty area. Haaland shoots again, and he scored again. Haaland gets his 5th, and that seemed to go through Krul just a little bit too easily. But Haaland does it once again. It's 5 for the Norwegian, who can't stop scoring here in Bedfordshire, and that is game over now, because it's Luton 2, Manchester City 5.
And they've scored that brace not dissimilar time to when they scored the brace in the league game. Do you remember when they were 1 down? They got 2 in about 3 minutes when Luton were 1 up, and Luton threatening a comeback at 3-2, and City have gone up the other end and rattled in another couple just to put the game to bed. Here it's a great strike, but it's gone through Tim Krul. Just having another look here, I mean, he absolutely leathers it, and it's gone straight through Krul's legs. Yeah, he should save that, the goalkeeper. I think that's the only one. Yeah. But he should probably save that. But he has saved quite a lot already, to be honest.
27 goals for Erling Haaland this season. He scored 5 tonight here at Kenilworth Road, and his side are going through to the next round of the FA Cup, the quarter-final, because I know they have produced miracles in the past, Luton, but they're not getting back into this one.
No, Johnson so. Goes damage backwards. Limitation now.
Doughty to Mengi, and Mengi smashes one up towards Townsend. Townsend picks up for Luton once again. Townsend will play it square now to Barkley. Barkley picks up. It's so open out there, which is dangerous for Luton. Here's Obene. Obene on that right-hand side is dispossessed by Doku, and they'll just bomb forwards again. Manchester City here, which is why I said I don't particularly like it being so open, because that's going to be dangerous for Luton more than it is for Manchester City. Here's John Stones. Stones for Bernardo Silva. Surely Pep Guardiola is going to make changes soon now. They're 5-2 up.
Please.
Here's De Bruyne. What a lovely pass that is to Ake. Ake outside the box, in the box. In comes across towards Haaland. Might drop down to Nunes. Half cleared by Doughty. And then Joe Johnson does well against Bernardo Silva. Johnson has it left-hand side and plays it to Morris. Nice control from Morris. Tries to go backwards to Clark. It's intercepted by City. And they have it with Kovacic. Kovacic goes backwards to Akanji. Hashioka is going to come on, so the new signing for Luton will come on.
Yes. Welcome to England.
Japanese international Hashioka just receiving some instructions, and Peli Radakampanzu is also going to come on as well as we reach the hour mark here at the Kenny. Had a rather stunned Kenilworth Road. Luton 2, Manchester City 5. 5 goals for Erling Haaland. Here is Doku now, turning Obene. Doku still has it to De Bruyne. Barkley gets the better of De Bruyne, but then runs into trouble. And City have it with Ake. Ake down that left-hand side. Mengi trying to hold off Nunes, and does so. And Anthony Taylor, the referee, decides that is a foul on Mengi now. Ironic applause from the home supporters as Morris breaks away left-hand side. Morris versus Stones. Morris cutting in from him. Still Carlton Morris. Lays it off to Johnson. Luton still going for this. Johnson's going to cross in right-footed. Chong is not going to get there because City head away. And De Bruyne has it on the edge of the penalty area. Loses it though. Here's Ross Barkley though. Barkley shoots. Deflection. And that one hasn't come off of a white shirt. Goes behind, and it's going to be a goal kick for Manchester City. And the changes will now be made for Luton, 18 and 17. And that's the end of Jordan Clark, who makes way. Having scored 2 goals, Jordan Clark's been a good night inside.
Well, he has. He's scored 2 cracking goals, and he's put himself in the team for Saturday if Sambi Lokonga's not fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Clark goes straight into central midfield alongside Barkley for that game against Aston Villa in the Prem. And here's Hashioka. New to England and English football. Just go and mark Doku over on that far side.
Yes. And try and stop De Bruyne getting any more assists to Haaland. Yes. Well, I suppose when he was named in the squad, he might have thought he might be coming on in a tricky situation, and that's pretty much what he's got. Here he is.
Here he is now. Blonde-haired Hashioka, and attacks down that right-hand side. Does well, gets the cross in. Is he on a corner? Not quite, but he's going to sprint back to help his defence out. And the ball is back with goalkeeper Ortega for Manchester City. 62 minutes gone on BBC Three Counties Radio, and also 5 Sports Extra, and online via BBC Sounds as Haaland gets away again from Mengi. Haaland picks up and then plays it into De Bruyne, who's away. De Bruyne in the box, strikes, great save from the goalkeeper. Still De Bruyne as it comes back out to him. De Bruyne to Haaland again. Luton get bodies in the way and just are able to clear it. This is like basketball, this game. It's just incredible. It's so open. One end to the other. Turnover, ball up the other end. Turnover, ball up the other end. The issue is that Manchester City have Haaland up there, Silva, De Bruyne and Doku.
No sign of any subs for them, I'm afraid.
No, they are just relentless in trying to get more goals. Doku fitting it into the penalty area, stones, but Chong is there to deal with that one, and Chong does for Luton and gives it to Hashioka. Hashioka now to Johnson. Johnson not quite sure what to do with it and plays a ball back into sort of the central area, and Raducanu Panzu is going to pick up for Luton Town in orange and blue, with Townsend over on that far side. Townsend just nudges it down the right-hand side to Hashioka. Is that a foul on Hashioka? No, Anthony Taylor points at his shoulder and says it was just a shoulder barge from the pair of them. Here's Bernardo Silva up against Barkley. Barkley just shrugs him off the ball. Barkley picks up for Luton. The Hatters aren't done yet. Morris gets away into the box, left-hand side. Morris shoots, good save from the goalkeeper. Comes back out to Johnson. Johnson for Luton, square to Barkley. Barkley's still there. He shoots, great save from Ortega. And round the post, that one goes for a corner kick.
Well,
this is
City,
an incredible game.
Yeah, City looking across at the assistant and at the referee, but the flag stayed down. Carlton Morris just timed it right. It was very, very close. And Barkley just dug his shot out from somewhere, and Ortega's made a cracking save. It's cracking entertainment.
It's just an unbelievable game of football. We're not even halfway through the second half. We've had 7 goals so far. Luton 2, Manchester City 5. Don't go anywhere, anybody, because this match isn't done. There are more goals still left in this. Doughty, corner kick, near post, flicked on, and it's saved by the goalkeeper. It looked all the world as though that was going to be another one for Luton there. And Ortega's managed to save it somehow.
Goodness
almost from
me.
point blank range.
It was flicked on by Barkley, and Chong looked as though he was going to tap it in, and Ortega's just snatched it away from him. It's good goalkeeping in the end.
How has Chong not scored that? It's come off of his chest.
Oh, it did touch, yeah.
Yeah, it's come off his chest and landed
get a touch
straight at the goalkeeper.
I thought it had gone straight through to the keeper.
Yeah, no, a little flick and then onto Chong's chest. I don't think he knew too much about it, to be fair. And so City have it. Could have been 5-3. Here's Haaland now. They're not done either, because they want more goals. It's a goals fest at Kenilworth Road. Here's Bernardo Silva to Kovacic. City have had 12 shots, Luton have had 6. City have had 11 shots on target of their 12.
Well, that's incredible. Krul has conceded 5, but he saved the others, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's just gone up again now on my screen. 13 shots, 12 on target, Manchester City. That's why they're clinical, and that's why they're world champions. And they're going again with Núñez right-hand side. Haaland has 5 goals for City. Backwards they go to De Bruyne. De Bruyne, his work's not done yet either. I don't think any of these City players want to come off either, by the look of it.
I bet Haaland doesn't.
No, I bet he doesn't. Double hat-trick. He'll be asking for a second ball at this rate. Here is Walker beyond the halfway line for City. Walker out to that left-hand side, and Ake back in field.
He must have a huge mantelpiece, mustn't he?
Here's Akanji. Akanji to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva into the centre of the park again for Akanji. Still not much movement on that Manchester City bench, as Pep Guardiola obviously feels like this side need a run out. Here's Doku. Remember, they've got Manchester United at the weekend in the local derby before more cup games in Europe, and they've got Liverpool coming up soon as well, as Bernardo Silva finds Walker once more. Walker to Núñez, and Núñez is being forced backwards by Alfie Doughty. Backwards it goes to Ortega. Simon Oxley and myself, Jeff Dorr, with you this evening, live from Kenilworth Road, as Luton continue to try their hardest to get back into this game. It seems a huge ask, but they're not stopping, are they? As Barkley just pulls back Núñez there, and this is going to be a free kick to the visitors, who lead by 5 goals to 2. And Simon Oxley will take you to full-time, where I dread to think what the score will be by then.
Oh, goodness knows. Goals here are plenty. None elsewhere in the FA Cup. 2 of the matches, both 0-0. Bournemouth and Leicester into extra time. Blackburn and Newcastle also 0-0. 5-2 here to Manchester City, but here's Alfie Doughty coming forward for Luton, out to Andros Townsend. Back again to Doughty down the right-hand side, level with the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Doughty back to Hashioka, the Japanese international. Back again to Doughty, back again to Hashioka, over on the far side. Back to Reece Burke, just a break in play almost in the relentless charge backwards and forwards up and down the pitch. Is a quieter moment here as Barkley flicks it onto Chong, but here we go again. Chong out to the left hand side to Johnson. Johnson takes a heavy touch, keeps it in, swings it into the back post towards Barkley. Townsend fires it across the face of goal, back in by Johnson, but he was offside. And referee Anthony Taylor, will he blow? No, he won't, because City are on the counter attack with De Bruyne. Now he'll blow for offside, and that is greeted with howls of derision around the ground. And I've defended Mr. Taylor quite a few times this evening, but not there. You've played advantage. You've let the play go on for quite a long time, actually, before giving finally the offside.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can allow play on to a certain extent, but they tried to play on, and then he tried to play a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't come off. Well, that's your fault.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the talk from the Luton fans on social media will be about the referee, I've no doubt, which is a shame because we've seen some splendid football. Here's Doku down the left-hand side. He hasn't made a difference. There have been 1 or 2 odd decisions, including that one where he's not given a foul on Doku when it clearly was. Now he's going to just call for a break because 2 players are injured. Again, there are howls around the ground, but if the Luton fans just take a moment to look, they'll see that one of their own players has picked up an injury in the collision. There is Townsend, who collided with Doku, and both have picked up injuries. No, the referee should not be criticised there because both players were down.
Well, it's been a long night for the Luton supporters. Their side are losing 5-2. In situations like this, you almost need a full
guy. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I guess that is Anthony Taylor. Luton 2, Manchester City 5. Haaland's got all 5. People, no doubt, scouring the record books to see the last time anybody got 5 here in an opposition shirt. Spare a thought as well, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I think he's currently the leading scorer in the FA Cup. He's at Biggleswade. Ollie Bayliss, I think, will tell us.
Oh, really?
I think he's got 10. But he might be wondering whether he's going to be the leading scorer in the FA Cup come the final. Yes. Because there's probably quite a nice little prize. A lot of the non-league players are competing for it because they've got goals early on in the competition. Obviously, as it progresses, other of the top players get more and more opportunities, but Haaland will have the player, I'm pretty sure it's in Biggleswade, looking anxiously over his shoulder. On non-league expert Ollie Bayliss, I'm sure, will be on the case. 71 minutes played, Luton 2, Manchester City 5 on BBC Three Counties Radio. 5 Live Sports Extra as well. And what it also does, if they don't agree with what the referee's doing, it just keeps their noise levels up, which encourages the players. Here's Doku now coming forward for City. Doku onto his right foot, and Krul just palms it away, and Haaland's there ahead of Johnson. Johnson sticks to the task though and gets a foot in. Comes to Nunez. Nunez back to Carl Walker. Walker again back to Nunez as City just slow it down here. Now John Stones. Luton pulled it back to 3-2 with that brace from Jordan Clark, but another brace from Haaland. Here's Kovacic now, edge of the area. Kovacic, and he's stuck in another one. And I'm not quite sure what Tim Krul was doing there, but Kovacic has just stuck that one past Krul. It may have taken a deflection. I may be doing the goalkeeper a disservice. We'll have a look at the replay, but Kovacic has just hit that, whether it's swerved or whether it's taken a deflection. And that one has gone into the back of the net. It's number 6 for Manchester City, and that one has deceived Tim Krul from the Croatian. Just waiting for the replay from behind the goal. Here is Kovacic now. as he gets the shooting opportunity with his left foot. No, he's just smashed it past Krul, who's not able to keep it out. Should he do better there, the goalkeeper? Probably, but it's 6-2.
Yeah, I think he was maybe unsighted a little bit, giving him a little bit of leeway. Tim Krul. There was quite a lot of swerve on the ball as well, and he's hit it with great pace, Kovacic, from, well, he was about 20 yards out, wasn't it? I just think Kovacic was maybe unsighted just a little bit. But it's 6-2 now, and there's still probably about 20 minutes to go. Luton they've just got to try and not be so open here, because City are going to just rip them apart.
Which is what's happening. Here's Townsend down the right-hand side. Hoshioka is offside, so we'll have to come back into an onside position. Townsend back inside to Barkley. Barkley goes back to Reece Burke. Burke inside, just over the halfway line, rather. Plays it forward to Townsend. Back again to Reece Burke. Manchester City 6-2 up here. 5 for Haaland, and finally somebody else in a City shirt has scored. Kovacic deceiving Tim Krul from about 30 yards out. Now Pelly-Reda Kampanzu playing it out to this left-hand side to the youngster Joe Johnson, who's got an opportunity to take on Kyle Walker. Plays it into the edge of the box to Chong. Chong trying to play back inside to Kampanzu, but City will clear. Johnson trying to win it back on this near side with Chong, and that's come off Tahith Chong, and it'll be a Manchester City throw, level with the edge of their own penalty area. Right-hand side for City, just in front of us here, as we're high up in the Bobbers stand. The noise, the majority of the noise is from the City fans in the Oak Road end. 74 minutes gone, Manchester City heading to the FA Cup quarter-finals. 6-2 in front here. Luton threatened to come back, but have been brushed aside by last season's treble winners, and very possibly this season's treble winners as well. Here's Alfie Doughty for Luton. Cuts inside from the left, plays it across to Hoshioka. Hoshioka plays it forward to Andros Townsend. Little back heel from Townsend, blocked by Ake, and it spins out of play for a Luton throw. Townsend back to the Japanese international Hoshioka, who finds Barkley. Barkley on the halfway line. Hoshioka's made a run forward, but Barkley has played it short, and now Mpanzu lays it off to Reece Burke. Burke across to Teden Mengi. Mengi back to Tim Krul. Krul on the edge of his penalty area. Krul clears upfield left-footed towards Townsend, dealt with by Akanji, who finds Doku down the left-hand side. Doku coming forward for Manchester City. Just when you think they've taken their foot off the pedal, they'll step it up again. And Luton have to be wary of that, otherwise it borders on the embarrassing.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. Either you think, well, at least they're trying to be positive, Luton, in the fact that they're still going for it and they're still being really attacking, or it's really, really naive that you're still trying to play like this against Manchester City. Can you just not become a bit more conservative, a bit more defensive to stop, you know, this match ending up being something like 8 or 9-2? I think I'll probably go for the just think about defending rather than attacking now. It's 6-2, the game's over. We don't want a really, really silly scoreline.
Well, a statement of intent now perhaps from Pep Guardiola, because he's going to make 4 changes. John Stones coming off, Erling Haaland coming off, and coming on we have Oscar Bob, and also Julian Alvarez, just the World Cup winner, coming on. Also Rico Lewis as well. Nathan Ake is coming off, and so too Bernardo Silva, and the other player coming on, just looking to see who that is. It is Sergio Gomez who's come on. So 4 changes, and some of the key players, Ake and Stones and Haaland and Bernardo Silva, are given the last 15 minutes off, and Haaland will just have to be content with the 5 goals this evening.
First player to score 5 or more goals in an FA Cup match since George Best, who scored 6 against Northampton in 1970.
Yeah, that famous game against Northampton, at Northampton I think, wasn't it?
Yep.
At the old county ground. Well, he's in good company, Erling Haaland. There's Hoshioka now for Luton, back to goalkeeper Krul, but De Bruyne's still there, although Phil Foden mercifully is still on the bench. Here's Joe Johnson for Luton, and Pelly-Reda Kampanzu's picked up a knock there on his ankle. We'll see a challenge for that one. And that maybe is just a first sign of City just taking their foot off the gas.
Yeah, well, it's 6-2.
Yes.
Game's over, isn't it? And he can rest them now for the Manchester derby at the weekend.
Barkley back to Mengi. Mengi inside his own half, drives it forward right-footed, wide out to that right-hand side. It's a great ball for Townsend to run onto over on the far side. Townsend up against Gomez, into Morris, back again to Townsend, who hits it left-footed straight into the mid-drift of Ortega. Comfortable save from the German goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega. In his, colour would you call that? Sort of dark lilac, or purple if you prefer. Light purple kit with a pink stripe down it. And he's been beaten twice by Jordan Clark on both occasions, but Tim Krul's been beaten 6 times, although he's made plenty of saves as well, the Dutchman. Here's Johnson down this left-hand side for Luton. Clears it against Lewis on this near side. Rico Lewis. And it spins out of play for a Luton throw. 12 minutes to go on BBC Three Counties Radio and 5 Live Sports Extra. Luton 2, Manchester City 6. Stevenage against Cambridge, Wickham against Cheltenham. Our other matches, reflections and reports and interviews from those matches at the conclusion of play here. And of course you can access all our interviews, including the thoughts of Rob Edwards, via our Twitter site, BBC Sport 3CR, at BBC Sport 3CR. We'll get those posted up for you later on this evening. Tahith Chong challenging in midfield for Luton, but dispossessed. And City launch it forward again for Doku down the left-hand side, up against Hashioka. Doku cuts back inside and fires it just wide. Oh, he left Hashioka standing there. But it's a good turn of pace from Doku and flashes his shot just wide. I was expecting the net to bulge again, but fortunately it remains just 6-2.
Yeah, I mean, he'd leave most people for dead, wouldn't he, Doku? Because he's so skillful.
No disrespect to the Japanese player.
With the ball at his feet, his close control is excellent, his dribbling skills are excellent, and I've thought that was in for all the world there.
Well, in those other featured matches, Wickham 2 up against Cheltenham into the closing minutes of added time, and Stevenage still 1 up against Cambridge as it was at half-time. Hashioka plays it forward for Townsend. Townsend on the chase down the right-hand side, but played back by Akanji to Ortega, who gives it back to the centre-half, who advances up towards the halfway line. And City just happy to keep possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Back to Ortega. 10 minutes to go plus added time. And City again keeping possession, keep ball inside their own half, on the edge of their own area, and Luton trying to close them down, but Kyle Walker now brings it away for Manchester City up towards the halfway line. Kyle Walker back now to Akanji, now Kovacic, scorer of the 6th goal. Walker again plays it forward for Doku. Doku trying to get away from Reece Burke, still Doku twisting and turning. Off he goes again, Doku, but Ross Barkley forces him back towards the halfway line, and Lewis goes all the way back to Walker. And, well, about 30 to 40 passes, I would think. And here they go again with Oscar Bobb, who just had his shirt tugged there by Doughty. And that will be a free kick to Manchester City just outside the centre circle. 9 minutes to go plus added time. Luton 2, Manchester City 6. City 3 up after 40 minutes. Clark pulled 1 back, then another just after half-time before a Haaland brace made it 5 for him and 5 for City just before the hour mark. Kovacic adding number 6 about 9 minutes ago. And since then it's just been substitutions and a lot of passes from Pep Guardiola's side.
Yeah, I think there were a few in the Kenny end applauding when Erling Haaland went off. I think rightly so too. Not many are going to score 5 here at the Kenny. I think 1 or 2 rather grudgingly gave him a bit of respect there.
Masterclass in centre forward play, isn't it?
Yeah,
really is. Absolutely outstanding football. Here's Alvarez. Now Lewis back heels it but gives it straight to Chong, who plays it forward early towards Carlton Morris, who couldn't quite take it in his stride, Morris. Otherwise that might have been an opportunity for the batter striker, but as it is, it goes through to Ortega. And the game just easing to its conclusion here, with Manchester City leading by 6 goals to 2 as we welcome back listeners on 98 FM, full time at Adams Park. 2-0 I think to Wickham. Yes, Wickham 2, Cheltenham 0. Stevenage still playing and still leading by a goal to 0. Still playing here, of course, an 8 o'clock kickoff. We've got 7 minutes to go plus added time, and it's 6-2 to Manchester City. Kyle Walker back to Ortega. City have spent much of the last 5 minutes inside their own half, but with the ball, Ortega clears it upfield for Alvarez to chase after, but just too far ahead of the Argentinian, and out of play for a Luton throw over on the far side.
Those substitutions just disrupted the game a bit, hasn't it? Disrupted City's momentum as well, thankfully, from a Luton Town perspective. I mean, Pep knew this was one probably at 4-2, but it just means that the Hatters might just hold on to a 6-2 scoreline rather than a real thumping.
Here's Chong for Luton inside his own half, lays it off to Barkley. Barkley mishitting that, and Lewis can come forward for Manchester City. Back to Kovacic. Kovacic just keeping possession. Now Nunez. And City again content to keep the ball inside their own half. Luton back in action, of course, on Saturday. Aston Villa, the visitors here. Important sequence of league matches for Luton ahead of the international break. Aston Villa here, 5:30 kick-off. Full commentary here on BBC Three Counties Radio. Kovacic surging forward up towards the edge of the area to Doku. Doku onto his right foot, looking for the shooting opportunity. Goes for the 1-2, but Pelly Redick in the way and clears, or half clears. Townsend then loses it, and City can start all over again with Akanji. And now here's Kovacic again, scorer of the 6th goal. Mateo Kovacic, the Croatian, and he has it again. Forward towards Lewis, back to Kyle Walker. Walker threads it through towards Bob, and Bob sets off on a run, but blocked by Morris. City just keeping possession as we head toward the 85-minute mark here at Kenilworth Road. De Bruyne flicks it forward. Been a bit quiet lately, De Bruyne, not set up anyone for a goal in the last 10 minutes. Here's Alvarez. Now Nunez, and back to Walker once again. Walker plays it forward. Slightly heavy touch there by Kovacic, but Doku makes the most of it. Hashioka makes a good challenge, and Luton win it back, and here's Mpanzu inside his own half to Reece Burke. Burke back to Alfie Doughty. Doughty onto his left foot, spreads it wide out to the right-hand side to Andros Townsend. Townsend with Hashioka going for the pass. Hashioka after it, but Kyle Walker will get there first, and Walker flicks it back inside. And the support from Gomez, and Hashioka, as he looked to break away down the right-hand side. For him, picked unfortunately about the quickest player in the Premier League to try and run round.
How's your luck?
Yeah.
Welcome to English
He was
football.
set off. It was a great run.
Yeah.
Great timed run from the Japanese international, fed through by Townsend, and he was in a foot race with Kyle Walker. Here's Doku getting away from Reece Burke. Referee allows play to continue. Burke was trying to pull him back. Doku got away. Now here's Bob. Bob dispossessed by Chong. Bit lazy from him. And Burke now plays it out to Hashioka once again, who plays it back to Pelly Redick. Not the best of passes, and Pelly just keeps it in and then clears it out of play over on the far side and gives Hashioka a look. And in fact, it came off the City player in the end. Pelly did well actually to play it against Alvarez, and it's a Luton Town throw which Hashioka's going to take. Luton 2, Manchester City 6 on BBC Three Counties Radio. Champions of Europe, champions of England, sing the City fans, and who would bet against them winning the treble once again? Well, they're certainly into the FA Cup quarter-finals. Luton were aiming to do it for the first time since 1994. City back there again and setting off on one of those relentless surges. As for Luton, they must focus on trying to play Manchester City again next season. Barkley plays it forward to Chong. Chong just over halfway, finds Townsend down the right-hand side. Townsend up against Walker. Townsend back to Chong. Chong back inside to Mpanzu. and Pansu out to this left-hand side to Joe Johnson. Johnson up to the edge of the area, swings in the cross. Morris loops his header towards Barkley. Walker heads it away. Gomez misses his kick. Townsend flicks it back inside, doesn't come to a Luton player. City clear. Hashioka gets there ahead of Doku. Here's Reece Burke. Burke edge of the penalty area to Townsend. Townsend sits up the cross. Barkley trying to head it down. Appeals for handball. Well, VAR might have a look, but I'm not sure that'll be given. And the ball has gone out of play over on the far side. Actually, he's calling a halt, isn't he, Anthony Taylor? He's just waiting to see there's a handball in there. No, he's allowed, given the signal for play to continue. Luton man of the match about to be announced by the sponsors. Jordan Clark, of course it is, for scoring those 2 goals and for playing very well. On top of that, as City look to break away again, and here's De Bruyne surging forward. De Bruyne, midway inside the Luton half, flicks it out to Kovacic. Kovacic left edge of the penalty area. Kovacic tackled there by Mengi, and Mengi clears upfield as well. As well there, Mengi clears it into the City half. 2 minutes to go plus added time. Luton 2, City 6. Haaland with 5 goals. The first time somebody scored 5 in an FA Cup tie since George Best. Erling Haaland has done it here at Kenilworth Road, and Alvarez now comes forward for City inside the penalty area, cuts back inside, still going, fast in the shot. Krul got something in the way, it took a deflection and he stuck out his arm, Krul. Chong then gives the ball back again to City. Alvarez flashes it across goal and Hashioka heads it behind for a corner. Bit lazy there from Chong, but he's just about out on his feet, and Krul just got something in the way to prevent number 7.
Yeah, I mean, when you are under such relentless pressure, there are tired legs and tired minds out there from a Luton perspective. It's so difficult trying to keep up with this City side, who are just so clinical and devastating. Luton have just got to try and keep it to 6 at the moment. Getting shown up just a little bit, but they are up against some of the very best players in the world.
Yeah, despite the fact plenty have gone off, there's still plenty out there, including Kovacic, and Kyle Walker is in possession now across to Lewis as we approach added time. Just waiting for the 4th official. No, referee Anthony Taylor decides there'll be no added time. Andros Townsend shrugs his shoulders as if to say, what, no added time? I fancied a fight back there, but I think that's absolutely the right decision from the referee, because we don't want to pick up injuries. They're not going to score 4 goals in added time, and Anthony Taylor decides is enough is enough. Is he right to do that?
Is he allowed to do that?
I don't know.
Seems very strange.
Very odd. I think he's right, but it does seem very odd that he's not playing any added time. But there we are. Quite a lot of Luton fans have already started the journey home. City fans, of course, staying behind to celebrate. Well, I mean, I suppose if he played the full amount, it would have been 5 or 6 minutes, and what would have been the point? But I take your point. Yeah, is he allowed to just sort of make the unilateral decision that, well, that's it?
I mean, we had substitutions as well, so there should have been time added on. So I don't really get that one, to be honest. I don't quite know what's happened there. Seems very odd. I mean, if there should be 4 minutes added on, there's 4 minutes added on, and that's the end of it.
I mean, there would have been a 1 in 50 million chance, but I suppose you've just got to think, I don't know. If the lights had gone out, would we have had to come back for a rearranged game?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does seem odd. Does seem odd to me. I mean, we're picking at it. I mean, it's nothing.
No, it's not made. You know.
No.
But it's just an interesting talking point as to exactly what the rules are. But anyway, the long and the short of it is that after 90 minutes, Luton have been beaten here in the FA Cup by 6 goals to 2. They've given a decent account of themselves, perhaps until the 55-minute mark, when it rather got away from them. 3-0 down, they'd fought back to 3-2. They'd just given City a reminder that they were still around, and City then re-exerted their authority with 2 more for Haaland to take his tally to 5. An astonishing display of centre-forward play. You'll not see better than Kovacic adding number 6 when Krul was, I think, slightly unsighted and just not really in line with that shot, which did swerve from the Croatian, which gave the scoreline a rather unflattering look for Luton. But in truth, City had as many chances again as what they scored. It's finished 6-2.
Now just watching Haaland go off over on that far side. Few of the Luton supporters are applauding them, actually. It's a nice touch, that.
It is, yeah.
They're normally screaming at those players when they walk down that tunnel, but
he's getting good applause.
Yeah, giving him a round of applause, and I think they'll do the same with Pep as well as he heads down there. Sometimes you hold your hands up and say, all right, we've been beaten by a fine side, and you know, he's the best striker in the world, and what can you do? You can't stop him. Mengi can't stop him. He was playing for Manchester United under 21s a couple of years ago. He wasn't coming up against someone like Erling Haaland, who is an absolute beast.
And 5 goals for the first time in an FA Cup match since George Best. And how many people since then have been saying, oh, I was there at the county ground when Best got all those goals. And everybody here tonight will be able to say, I was there when Erling Haaland scored 5 in the FA Cup.
The same night that Jordan Clark scored 2.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, of course, I'm being silly there. I mean, yes, and watching him as well in the flesh. He is a joy to watch. He really is. Everything about him, he does brilliantly. This is a phenomenal athlete. His touch is brilliant. Yeah. His movement is excellent. He's strong. He's physical. I mean, I'd love to speak to Ted and Mengi and say, what was it like?
Yeah.
And
what was it like all in wrestling? Yeah. It was excellent. I mean, thank goodness he wasn't fit in December. And I wonder if he fancies a little swan song at the end of his career in Bedfordshire. Do you think he'd fancy that? He'd probably be off to Saudi or somewhere, won't he? But anyway, great entertainment. Shame it was 6-2 because it always looks a little bit like a mauling, doesn't it? That which for some of the time it was. Yeah. But we've seen why Manchester City are the treble winners, and Luton, to their credit, didn't roll over at 3-0. They kept going, they kept battling, and it was only really that last sort of 20 minutes or so, and it was 6-2. You just feared that it might become embarrassing, but 6-2 against City is, well, it's the first time they've been given a hiding this season, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was because Luton are a side that carry on trying to score, don't they? Rather than sit back and be conservative, Luton are still gung-ho, haphazard. Let's still try and score if we can. And if you do that against Manchester City, you are on to a hiding, because they're so good. They can, in transition, counter-attacks, they can just get the ball up and very quickly score again. And so, I said it's either positive or it's naive. It's one of those, and it's probably both. Yes, they're still trying to stay positive, still trying to score goals. A bit like playground football, really, except in the playground you can take an absolute tonking, and here tonight against Manchester City you can take the same thing as well, because it just leaves you so open. You're so open.
Backwards and forwards, both it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then City just go and
until they took those players off, you feared that might be the case. Should just say we welcome back listeners on 95.5. Stevenage having beaten Cambridge, victory for Wickham as well. We're all back together. Just chewing over the 6-2 win for Manchester City here. And of course, if Nottingham Forest are to go out against Manchester United tomorrow, then Luton against Forest, we've been talking about these key games to come, that will still be on the scheduled weekend here at Kenilworth Road. So Villa here on Saturday, and then away to Crystal Palace, away to Bournemouth, and at home to Nottingham Forest, potentially. 4 crucial games, although Villa, not quite in the category of the other 3.
No. So then, full-time score at Kenilworth Road on this FA Cup 5th round night is Luton Town 2, Manchester City 6.